Hey, so there's this thing people say, that still small voice within, and it used to drive me crazy because I couldn't figure out what still small voice they were talking about because I have lots of voices within me. Hi. And I bet you have lots of voices within you. So, one of the things about the still small voice is that it's not always quiet, it can be loud at times. Under urgent situations, it can be really quite commanding, but it is always neutral. So, my experience is that both intuition and guidance are offerings, and I can take them or I can leave them. Now, if I were to hear get out now, for instance, then I would know that it would be delivered with some amount of urgency and the energy to get out now. But that is not the norm. Even if it were delivered with some amount of urgency, as I said, it would still be optional. If you don't want to get out, then don't get out. So, the other thing about this still small voice is that it says what is both true and useful. You will notice that your superego says all kinds of things. Like my superego right now is pointing out that some of my hair is not in perfect place. Uh, that's what my superego does. That's probably what your superego does. That's not my intuition. That's not that useful inner voice. Now, earlier, I started this stream and I realized that I didn't have my computer elevated. And because I think it looks better if it is. So I realized that, but it didn't make me feel awful or wrong. It was just that I noticed something was wrong. The more that we practice these spiritual tenets, the more we are able to just have peace and equanimity about whatever is going on. Again, we want to stick with what is both true and useful. There are all kinds of things that are true about you or about me, but those won't be useful when we get up to do a Facebook or a YouTube live or do public speaking or whatever it might be. They're not useful at that time. We want to say thank you for sharing and move on. So, the other thing about the intuition and about guidance that I've experienced over and over again my entire life is that they really command my attention. Another way to say this is when I'm receiving an intuitive hit, my attention is riveted on that. So let's say I ask a question of the universe, of source, of God, uh, whoever you might ask a question of in an existential kind of way. And then one day, not long after that, I might hear a line from a song, or my eyes might fall upon a book title or subtitle. Or in one case, I remember suddenly the return address on an envelope just stood out and it answered my question. So, when our attention is riveted, that will also be the intuition or guidance. So, I believe we have guides and angels who accompany us on this rather strange journey. Anyway, mine has been. Excuse me. And these guides or angels, they may share ideas with us, they may share guidance with us. My experience is that when we develop our intuition, we're developing circuitry for both intuition and guidance. And the more we listen, the more we are aware, the more likely we are to receive that guidance or intuition. As long as it is useful and it is simple, you're good to go. Now, people who might have mental illness and they might hear voices, they seem to hear more complex ideas that are loaded with feeling. So, fear, paranoia, anger, and again, it's rather complex. It's not simple like get out now. It involves lots of phrases strung together, it seems, with a direction that would actually harm either the person who is hearing the voice or harm others. This is distinctly different from what I'm talking about. I am talking about simple ideas, simple directions. Again, get out now would be a good example. Uh, or call so and so now. And they are delivered again with no feeling. There is no emotional content to this, it is simply neutral. Now, we may bring emotional feeling to it. Let's say you've been wanting to do something for a while. I remember, quite a few years ago, I wanted a down jacket. And it was a big expense for me at that time. And I was waiting and I was trying to be responsible and not just buy this down jacket that I wanted on impulse, but instead do it responsibly according to my financial situation. And I remember I sat down to meditate and I heard, felt, knew. It wasn't clearly auditory. It was as if it was just injected into my brain to get the down jacket now. And I was thrilled, but it was delivered in a neutral way. So I want you to start to be aware of, I don't even like those adjectives, still and small, in front of the voice. Just imagine that it can be a knowing, a feeling, it can be auditory, it can be visual. Again, your eyes are just riveted on something. You can have any of the outer senses as inner senses. It could even be a smell. You might smell smoke before smoke is even there as a warning. One of the things that happens for me a little more than I would like is that I hear the tune that my phone plays when someone is calling me right before someone calls me, and then the real tune plays. So whatever potential inner sense that you are developing could deliver information to you. And again, you will notice that your attention is riveted on it. It's very clear, whatever it is that you're experiencing. A friend of mine likes to tell a story, and I've sometimes asked her to tell the story because I love hearing it, where she was driving on the highway and she had her windows up. It was probably winter or late fall. A car near her had the windows rolled up, but she thought she smelled alcohol and marijuana. And so she passed them and they began driving erratically, and she was really glad she passed them. But it wasn't as if she truly, with her physical nose, smelled those things. It was her inner senses that were activated. So I hope you find this helpful. Thank you for joining me. And I asked my 6-year-old granddaughter what it is that I'm supposed to say. So I think I'm going to say this right. Subscribe and hit the bell so that you're notified when I'm live. There, I think I did it. And if you want to leave any comments, I'd love to know your reaction to this live. Thanks so much. Bye. You're just coming on. I'm just finishing. Thanks.